Conana Silveiru, glavni trener American Top tima, naš je današnji sagovornik. First of all, thank you for your time. Let's start with this question. How does it feel when someone writes or calls you an icon of MMA or the father of this sport?
First of all, I didn't know that, but I feel really good. I'm blessed to be part of this journey, be part of something so great, and I love it. I love what I do. I love, from the fighter to the coach. I don't think that I could have another life. That is the perfect life that I wanted, that I really live. It's really good.
MMA has taken a pretty unusual path, from a forbidden, controversial to a very, very popular sport. How would you describe what happened in these 20 years?
It's been like I said, a great journey, seeing the evolution. I'm from the time that wasn't called MMA, it was called Vale Tudo, anything goes, no gloves, no time limit, was not sanctioned by any commission, by any body. So seeing what it became today, what it is today, and it's still growing more and faster. Nowadays MMA is a global thing. Everybody knows about it. Everybody has fights that they can watch. Back then it was fights every 3 months. You have to wait 3 months to see the next show. Now it's every weekend, everywhere. Small shows, big shows. So it's been great, and I have seen the full developing MMA yet. I still think the best is still to come. It's not going to be right now. Right now we're just growing. But it's going to be in the level of then everybody's going to understand, not seeing, but understand what is MMA.
What do you expect from MMA in the future? In what direction could it develop?
It is good. I believe that anything in life never starts exactly the way it should be. Everything in life starts from the beginning. And with the beginning, saying like that, is when you're going to perfect. So MMA, it is in the process of becoming something better every day, like I said before. And definitely the rules, the new techniques, the new training, everything brings a little bit more a better MMA for tomorrow. We are very young as age. MMA is 20, 25 years, well, less 30 years. That is nothing. Sports like boxing, they have been around for 120, 130 years. So can you imagine MMA in another 50 years? It's going to be the main sport. It's going to be the main attraction for everybody to watch.
There was a lot of work. It was necessary to develop coaches, define rules and relationships, and above all that, change the image of the sport among people who don't know enough about MMA.
So I will answer the question as, in the beginning, because the misinformation, a new sport, people will see Vale Tudo, anything goes, as two guys, they were walking in the streets drunk, somebody grabbed them, put them in a cage to fight each other. Nowadays, because so much information, so much exposure, fights every weekend, the stories being telling about the fighter's life, the internet, the media brings to the real fighter who is the guy, who is the fighter, what he does in life, how he became an MMA fighter. So when you watch that, when you understand what a fighter, what are the things that he has to do to perform 15 minutes, 25 minutes, you see that he's not only a guy that likes to throw punch and kicks. He's a guy that studies. He's a smart guy. Most of the fighters has, they went to college, so they are very skilled guys. And nowadays the people they can see that through the information. So that is extremely important for people to understand that it's not only two violent guys fighting each other, but it is a art. It is very, very, very smart, intelligent, who is fighting right there.
What would be the most important for an MMA fighter? That he is strong, brave, smart, or all three?
I would say then it's not that difficult people to be brave. It's not that difficult for people to be tough, but it's difficult for people to be smart, to be intelligent. When you combine everything, that is a great thing. Because it's not about being tough, it's not about being brave, it's about how are you going to use that feeling, how are you going to use that tool. Because when you're smart, you know how to use it, you know when to use it. MMA fighter is not a tough guy, then he looks for fight anybody, or he can fight anybody. Yes, of course he can, but how? How am I going to use that? How am I going to use that to promote myself? So when you combine everything together, that is the perfect MMA fighter.
You're talking about combining various things. MMA is a combination of various skills, but it seems that the time is coming for new fighters who will move from that combination, not from boxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or wrestling.
That's a great comment, because that's one thing that nowadays with the new generation of fighters, you don't have a background. In my time when I was a fighter, you say Conan coming from Carlson Gray's team, black belt in Jiu-Jitsu, etc., etc. So I had something that represents me as what I came from. Nowadays we don't have that. The new generation of fighters, MMA fighters, they come from MMA. So let me give you another way for you to understand. In my time, I was fluent in one language, but I was not fluent on the other language. MMA fighters nowadays, they very fluent. They speak Russian, they speak English, they speak Croatian, they speak Japanese fluent. They don't have a background, they don't have a country. They just came from there. They are everything together. And it gets difficult because now if you just know one thing and you don't know the other things, your time in MMA life is going to be very short. But when you speak fluent, all the areas, the grappling, the wrestling, the boxing, the kickboxing, and goes like that, you're going to make it. So that new generation, the new mentality, the new way to approach MMA is tougher than before. You have to speak fluent. It's not, hi, how are you? You gotta really understand the questions and answers that happens in the cage. Because if you don't, you're gone, you're done, that's it.
American Top Team became big, not only where it started, but also in this part of Europe. When and how can the European story develop?
I don't think that I want to change anything. The reason why not, because the American Top Team in Zagreb being so much of, producing, developing, growing, good fighters than people, as Croatia is a small country, being noticed because the fighters being doing so good. So I believe in especially in Europe, we are in 9 years really showing then what are we going to be in another 10. We're going to dominate. We're going to have fighters, we're going to have fighters coming from different countries to train over here. And that is great, that mixing. So you are pretty much the first ones in Europe to have a place that you can take fighters from everywhere, because the level of the training, the level of the structure, it is going to get better. So we are in the right direction. You know, sometimes it's not good to be too fast or be too slow, but be right. It's not about how long it's going to take for me to get there. It's how I'm going to get there. So I got to be controlling the speed, because sometimes you go too fast and you don't see things happen. The same thing goes too slow. You're late to be there. Sometimes the right speed is the right thing to do it.
The results say that you're going at the right speed in the right direction. Were there times where you were in a doubt if the speed was right?
That's a great question. Most of the time in life, and not only to be American Top Team, be a co-founder of American Top Team, but in general life, is going to present to you in the journey, in the way to go to wherever you want to go. Ups and downs. Is going to present you problems. Is going to present you challenges. American Top Team has been going through everything. You know, we went basically a good 15 years without getting one belt. I mean, always almost getting, but not getting. After 15 years, we got the first belt. What was that? Number one, discipline. But discipline doesn't take you there. What it takes you there is persistence. Discipline with persistence becomes never give up. That is the key. We knew that it was going to be hard. We knew that it was going to be tough, but we were never going to let it go. So now we have 36 belts from everywhere. UFC, Bellator, PFL, Rising, whatever name you said, I'm going to say, I have a belt. We have a belt. But it's not because we're lucky. It's not because we, whatever. No. Discipline, persistence, and never give up. As simple as that.
Now when you have 36 belts, can you plan further progress? Do you deal with numbers when you plan?
If you ask me if I knew then we're going to be like that, I'm going to tell you, no. No, I never thought. I never thought then from a small little gym will become American Top Team back then. Never. No, I'll be lying to you. Never. But I know then we going to every single belt, every single event, every single fight. I don't know what the future is going to have for us, but one thing I can tell you, we're going to be prepared for that. So when you say 36 belts, oh, you guys ready there? Not exactly. Our mentality, give you a good example. You know, when you see a mountain and you say, I want to climb the mountain, it's a high and big mountain. So when we get to the top, we're already looking to a taller mountain. So my eyes finish when the other eye is like, let's do again and be bigger again. It's like that. That's life. We have to. That's our mentality. We have 36. I want to have 100. I want to win every single belt in every single division and every single event. And I'm not afraid to say that. People say like, oh, you guys are too busy. No, I'm not. Because it's not lucky. Discipline, persistence, never give up.
What you believe in, discipline and persistence, are not, at least that's what elders say, how there used to be. How do you see today's fighters?
I don't think they can general say. I don't think that everybody, someone that have a clear understand what it takes for you to get to your dream or your goal. But one thing I can tell you for sure is some things in life that never is going to change, and that is one of the things that never going to change. And it's not only about fighting in anything that you in life wanna get from here to here. You have to go through the process, and the name of the process is called sacrifice. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. You're going to cry. It's going to be painful. It's going to be hard, but you can make it. But if you don't have that mentality, not only as a MMA fighter, but anything you want to be in life, you're not going to make it. Life do not negotiate with you. Dreams are not negotiable. Or you do, or you don't. Or you pay, or you not. So I try very hard, and every time I can, to talk to the young fighters and say, you have everything good in your hands. It's just a matter of a choice. How are you going to do that? How are you going to go for it? But you got to understand, it's no negotiation. You cannot become a champion if you do not invest as a champion. Being a champion doesn't start when they put the belt around your waist. No, that is the consequences. The belt comes to your waist the day you make a decision. Then you're going to sacrifice everything in your life. Birthdays with the kids, the wife's birthday, the Christmas, the holidays. When you understand, then you're doing how you're doing because you have a passion for what you're doing, everything becomes normal. But when you try to negotiate, can I, life is going to say, oh, you're not ready for that. It's going to push you away. It's going to give you the chance to another fighter. That's the way it works.
Your book Master of You that appeared this year is both very useful for MMA fighters and fans. If you had to single out two pieces of messages or advice, what would they be?
I could say more than two, but I'm going to keep in two. Number one is going to be a question. What is the reason you became MMA fighter? Not the consequences then you became MMA fighter. It's two different things. Consequences when you make money, you become famous, etc. That is consequences, not the reason. What is the reason then you became MMA fighter? I love the sport, or I try different sports and MMA, or my definition, Conan's definition. When they asked me that, I said, I love violence. But that doesn't make me a bad guy. I mean, not a mean person. But I love the violence that exists in MMA. The tension, the friction, the punches, the kicks, the blood, the bruise, the training. I have a passion for that. I'm not talking about the consequences of becoming good. Becoming good brings you the money, you become famous, etc. You buy a new house, etc. But the reason. So ask yourself and be clear, be okay with that. What is the reason? Then I want to be an MMA fighter. The second thing, I don't think it will be a second. The two is number ones. Be clear for all the investment that you have to do. When I say investment, means not money, but physically, mentally. Holidays, birthdays, everything you got to do. You can call the promoter. I cannot go to the fight because my kid's birthday. You can't do that. It's Christmas. I can't train on Christmas. Yes, you can. So you have to be clear. You see, the answer is more being clear what you're doing. So that is my two advice. What's the reason why you want to be an MMA fighter? What is the passion that drives you on that life, on that journey? And be clear about investment. Then I call sacrifice. because it is a sacrifice. I have 5 rules in MMA that I create. Number 1, sacrifice. Number 2, sacrifice. Number 3, sacrifice. Number 4, sacrifice. And number 5, sacrifice.
Parents are also an important part of the story to the young athletes. What would be the message to them?
The beginning of the answer would be, make sure then you're not turning your kid to be an MMA fighter because the parent wasn't. Do not put your dream on your kid. Do not do that. Your child has a own dream, has own life. Just a matter of, sometimes we do that. You know, I didn't do this, so I'm going to make my kid do that. Not for him, but for me. That's number 1. Number 2, for you to become an MMA fighter, is not one day to the other. It's not going to a gym where they teach kids punches and kicks and fighting. It's not that. You have to build that. You have to understand that. How are you going to build that? You have to find a good coach. You have to find a good gym with a good environment. You don't want to have your kid going to anywhere, any gym. You got to be specific what you're doing. It's like if you want to learn something as high school, college, you're not going to go to anyone. You want to have a good, nice diploma from a place that really taught you what you want to know. Be very aware, like I say, where are you taking your child? Who are you going to give your kid to? And have patience. Maybe he's not going to learn MMA. He's going to learn to understand a little bit of every area, a little bit of the BJJ, a little bit of kickboxing, and let him grow. Growing, when I say growing, is not only growing as a sport, but growing as a kid, as a man. Do not put pressure. Do not put on your kid your pressure. You have to train today. You have to do this today. And I give a good example. My oldest son is a fighter. He fights in the PFL, Silveira. When he was a kid, 4, 5, 6 years old, was times then I say, we're not going to train today. We're going to go to the movies. We're going to have some good time in dad and son. They will cry. They will say, no, we got to go train. I say, not today. Not today. Today isn't a good day. Let's all have some fun, different fun. I never put any pressure. I never told them, you have to train. You have to become a fighter because I am a fighter. No, that's not my dream. So yes, help your kid to achieve anything they want. Anything they want, not you.
Thank you for your time. It was pleasure. Bio je to Conan Silveira, glavni trener American Top tima i ikona MMA sporta. Vidimo se.